So are you suggesting to me that this stems primarily out of ignorance or out of malice? And taken that forward, are you suggesting that so-called venerable newspapers like the Washington Post and the New York Times are part of some kind of a sinister conspiracy possibly, or pure ignorance when it comes to India?
Mostly it's ignorance, but it's ignorance compounded by goodwill. Many of the worst things are done by people who mean well. So you have a young Indian journalist, new graduate, Columbia Journalism School, who's very passionate about his or her home country, wants to write articles about it, just an intern maybe at the New York Times. Well, you give that person the chance. Oh, yeah, write an article. That article gets 800,000 hits. That journalist that's a win, right? Let's get another article from that young budding journalist. So what you have is editors who maybe don't know very much. They take the word. If you have a young, earnest, idealistic new journalist, you take that journalist's word. This is what happened at VDem. VDem's ranking of Indian democracy collapsed when, and I don't know the person personally, I don't know her background, I don't want to give the name, but when a young Indian research assistant was brought in to author the India report at VDem. So it went from being authored collectively by VDem to they did a special report in India in which the co-author was a young Indian intern. Suddenly, India's democracy rankings collapsed.
So what you're calling for is a much more serious academic audit of these reports. Broadly, that's what you're suggesting. Hopefully free of ideological biases, focus purely on data. Because we've now got a new controversy, not just democracy, we've also had the hunger index.
So let me tell you about the hunger index.
The hunger index puts us at about 105.
So let me tell you about the hunger index. The government issued a rebuttal, and it was very, forgive me, government, very unscientific. They said a survey of 3,000 people can't represent all of India. You know, as a survey researcher, a survey of 3,000 is fantastic. The standard errors are tiny for that. That's not the problem. It took me about 20 minutes to find the problem. The problem was there was a comparison made between 2014 and 2021 in the global, 2014 and 2022 in the GHI. The 2014 GHI was released before the 2014 data for India came out and before the election in 2014. The government provided an estimate for the levels of wasting that was extremely low. They said there's been massive progress on wasting, it's very low. Now, I don't know if they did that as an honest mistake or if they did that to improve their position in the rankings ahead of an election. Either way, the 2014 estimate showed India doing much better than it turned out than it actually was. In 2015, the real data came out, and in fact, wasting in India had only declined a tiny bit. Okay. So in 2014, incredible improvement, global hunger index. 2022, new data are used, and it shows, oh, India's regressed. Now I said, that's impossible. India's economy has grown 50% since 2014. It is inconceivable that hunger has increased in India since 2014. There may still be hunger. Can't have increased. I went back to the report, I found the data, I found that wrong data point. The problem with the current report was not that the current report is wrong, the current report is accurate. It uses accurate, up-to-date Government of India data. All the data come from Government of India. Okay. The problem is they never corrected that 2014 false low for hunger. And so it looked like hunger had increased. Okay.
So net, Professor, what's the solution? What would give you possibly greater confidence that when these democracy rankings come out in the future or hunger rankings come out in the future, that these are objectively being analyzed? Because the institutes are going to remain the same. Do you really believe that a solid academic audit now is possible? How would you go about it if someone offered you the opportunity to go about it?
You don't have to offer me the opportunity, you have to offer me $5 million to start a think tank to do the work. No, the problem is that this, I keep saying the problem is, because the problems they're right there. This can't easily be solved. It can't easily be solved because the global academic world does not care to solve it. I mean, the solution isn't a rebuttal by the Government of India. The Government of India is biased. Of course it's biased. It's pro-India. Okay. We're not going to get this solved unless academics have the fortitude to review their own work and to be honest and criticize their own work. And self-criticism is very rare these days.
In conclusion, ever since you sort of debunked these rankings, has the government of India approached you, Professor Babones, that why don't you become a consultant? The Modi government would like the world to know that India is not a fascist state, that India is not slipping in on the democracy index. You'd be extremely valued. Has the government approached you? Anyone sort of offered you a consultancy?
I'd be thrilled, but so tomorrow I'm traveling to Delhi to visit friends in Delhi. And while I'm there, I'm going to be speaking at the S.P. Mukherjee Foundation, Research Foundation, the think tank arm of the BJP. They didn't even offer to pay for my hotel. Now, it's my own flight, it's my own hotel. India Today brought me to India. They may applaud what I'm doing, but no. I've not gotten any money for it.
But aren't you then worried as an academic that you will be now labeled, branded as someone who's a Modi bhakt? In case you need a translation for bhakt, it means a devotee. That you become a devotee of the Modi government, and therefore here is Professor Babones. He's the person we've been looking for.
Look, that's always a risk. I was very careful not to accept any invitations until I got one to India from a very highly reputable journalistic organization, India Today. I did get offers to come to India to speak. I don't know who from. They were a bit mysterious, but I turned them down. This invitation I accepted because I was confident that here we could talk without any hint that there was anything untoward involved. Thank you for the invitation.